There's another one you don't want to hear. Frankly, if you like.
1, 2, 3, set, go.
Hello and welcome to episode 45 of the Power Chord Hour podcast. Hope you're doing well out there. Thank you so much for checking out another episode, or if this is your first episode with us, thank you so much for checking this out, and hope you enjoy it. I am your host, Anthony Merchant, here with you with another week full of just bullshitting about music, punk and alternative, and everything in between. And, I want to thank last week's guest, Christian and Josh, for coming on. That was Christian's second time here on the show, Josh's first, and it was very rad to talk to them both. I just can't thank them enough. The people from that New Jersey pop punk scene, late 90s, early 2000s, for really being very, very cool to me. And there's actually some, I won't say anything too much. I'll tease a little here. But I was actually asked to do something here, which once again, I also won't say too much because I look like an idiot if something falls through. But I was asked to do something kind of related with that scene and everything. Not Jersey Interchange, but something kind of around the New Jersey pop punk scene. And hopefully it goes through. I would really love to be able to do it. And just like I was saying, just very cool to be kind of accepted by those guys. I was not there. A lot of them are probably got 15 years on me at least. And, are just very, very cool, and welcoming and, kind of tell you about the scene and what they saw and everything. And I appreciate that. I love that. That's why I have a lot of those, a lot of people who came from that and a lot of other scenes too. You're not just New Jersey, but, there's certain specific scenes that I look back on with fascination, and that being one of them. Josh actually said something. And I think, it was for Right Turn Eddie, his old band. But he was talking about at one point how they had 3 shows a night. And it's that right there is why that scene is so special. There's so many places, you may be in one of them right now, which sucks. But, there's so many local scenes where if you told that to a band, they'd be like, we can't get 3 shows a month. You got that on a Saturday night. We're lucky if we get that, in 3 months. We're lucky to get a show a month. So, the support there that was shown, the love and support is just something that I think was very special to that scene and everything. But, just wanted to thank them again for coming on last week. If you haven't heard it, our November rundown, talking about all the new music in November. And we even premiered a song, their New Jersey Interchange cover of Casanova Baby by the Gaslight Anthem. And I'm not really a big Gaslight Anthem fan, but I do like that song. I will say that my extent of Gaslight Anthem, how much I like them, I like the first half, I'd say, of the 59 sound. There's 1 or 2 songs I don't like, but most of the first half I like. And nothing against them. I think they're talented. It's just not up my alley. It's just of all the bands who have kind of clicked and connected with me, I don't know that they're the number one. But I really like that song. I really like the cover that Jersey Interchange did and everything. So that was very cool. And another big thank you goes out to Free Lunch Coffee, who is supporting this episode of the podcast. Can't thank them enough. And Free Lunch Coffee is on a mission to end hunger in the lives of young children. So, very cool. I mean, you get your coffee, which I don't know if you're like me, I love coffee. And, while doing so, it's for a great cause. So, when you buy just 1 bag of Free Lunch Coffee, you are providing 10 meals to children in need. And Free Lunch Coffee gives away 50% of the money they make to end hunger in the lives of young children. I mean, so they really mean it. When they say that, it's not we're giving pennies on the dollar towards something. This is actually legit. You are helping multiple children with multiple meals. And Free Lunch Coffee puts their money where their mouth is. I'm someone who drinks coffee out a lot, which I was not a big coffee drinker until a few years ago. But with everything now being home more, I definitely am looking for better home coffees. Being so new to the game of just checking out different coffees, whereas before I'm just there's 1 or 2 places I would drink coffee from. But, you want something like this. You want something like Free Lunch Coffee that is, a good coffee to make at home, goes to a great cause. And we got Christmas coming up too. This is a great Christmas gift. It's about the spirit of giving, and you're not just buying outfits for your loved ones, you're also helping to end child hunger. So, just very, very rad. And also very cool, Free Lunch Coffee is offering 100% money-back guarantee for 30 days. So check out this coffee. If you do not like it, they're going to give you a full refund. You even get to keep the coffee. So, once again, money where their mouth is. This is good coffee or your money back. And, they're putting their money towards a very good cause. So check it out. And Free Lunch Coffee is offering 10% discount to our listeners here on the Power Chord Hour podcast, which is very rad of them. So go check out this great new coffee. Get a 10% discount. Use code Anthony. Go use my name on there. Use code Anthony, 10% off at freelunchcoffee.com. And once again, I want to thank them very much for supporting this week's episode of the Power Chord Hour. We're going to get into the show now. In this episode, I was thinking about what to talk about this week. And right now, I've been doing eBay like the last 10 years, I would say. I started in like 2010. I was probably, because I was like 17. So like 10 years ago, I really started doing eBay. And just on and off, like I just sell things throughout the years. Basically, like whenever I need cash, like everyone else probably listening to this, like you use eBay whenever you need some extra cash. And it is the holiday season, so that I'm listing stuff right now. And I am a power seller. I mean, not only am I a podcaster, but I am an eBay power seller, folks. So I'm not fucking around here. And one thing I am selling lately is some of my vinyl collection. For a very long time really didn't sell much, and I will make clear, like I am not a flipper. I'm the furthest thing from it. I happen to be very lucky that I was buying vinyl definitely during a time where I think less people gave a shit about it, and I could buy it cheap, and some of it being very collectible. And so I've been listening some stuff lately, for the holidays. And it is insane what people pay for records sometimes. And that's kind of my thing. Like, I never buy records with intentions to sell them. But I mean, there are a couple where I just got to be honest. I've sold a few records and made like a few $100 profit. And it's like, I don't think I love any record enough to not sell it if you're going to give me that much money. Like, I guess I sell out very quickly. Like, I don't know if someone walked in here right now, I guess, and said the Power Chord Hour is now the polka hour, or I think me and Greg Eklund talked about that, what he was on about doing the polka hour. If someone came in here right now with enough money in the studio, just barged in right now, you hear the door, get kicked in, and they just put a suitcase in front of me, and it's like, this is no longer the Power Chord Hour. This is now the polka hour. I'd be like, yes, like I'll send Paul Westerberg down the river. Like it's over. Like I don't know who the replacements are. I don't know what pop punk is. I don't know what any of this shit is. Your boy's all about polka now. And so I don't know. I just gotta like it's crazy what some people will pay for records, and I appreciate it. Like more power to you, But I've paid. Like, don't get me wrong. I guess I'm more volume though. Like make no mistake. I've spent probably I want to say hundreds, but let's be honest here. I've probably spent thousands, that I didn't have because I was mostly buying records as a college student. So, spending a lot of money that I probably didn't have on records. And I mean, throughout the years, I've dropped, thousands of dollars that I shouldn't have on music. But, I've done it more in volume, I think, because I have a very hefty collection. And I used to know what I had. RIP dead format. Like, I will never take the time again to go. Like, some people are really good with their collection. Like, they have things alphabetized. They know it's in there. And there was a time where I was a little better at that. And I've gotten now, it's not so much that I don't know what's in my collection. Like, for the most part, I do. Every now and then I will have to stop for a second and go, like, did I sell that or do I still have it? But, like overall, I'm pretty good with knowing what's in my collection. But I don't think I could ever take the time that I took to do my dead format profile. If you don't know what dead format is, it's been gone now a couple of years, but it used to be a place where you just basically posted your collection, like what your entire record collection was. I want to say there was a want list on there. You'd have your want list. You could trade. Yeah, because you could trade with people. And there was a marketplace. I definitely bought some stuff a few times on there. I think I even bought a few test presses. And that was a big one, but even more than dead format for buying records, I used to buy them on Absolute Punk a lot. Now Chorus FM, But my old ass was buying them on when it was still absolutepunk.com back in my day. And I bought some really, honestly, some records that probably, again, like I'm talking about, like at the time, no one really, there just wasn't a market for. And like now, I mean, it's insane what they sell for. Like, you know, I think, and I thought the vinyl craze was dying down, but I do think it's leveled out a little. Like, I think the era of like going into guitar, which I mean, Guitar Center's, I believe, filing for bankruptcy, so that might be the other reason why you can't go do it. But, you know, I think the days of going into Guitar Center and they have like $30 or $40 like Led Zeppelin records there, you know, that you've already bought throughout your life 3 other times. Now they're charging you $40 again for it. You know, no download code, nothing bonus. Like it's just on vinyl. And it's like, I think that's where it got kind of, that was like my drop off when it started getting like that. Like when you could go into Barnes and Noble and get and that's another one. Like Guitar Center was an offender, but another big one, Barnes and Noble. And I haven't been in a Barnes and Noble in a while, so I mean, I assume they still sell records, but like just the bullshit of like really like let's be honest. This is someone who collects records, have collected them for years. I have hundreds and hundreds of them. Even still, even as I've downsized, like don't make that sound like don't take that as I'm selling off my entire collection. Like I still have ungodly amounts, like in the hundreds. I still have hundreds of 12 inches, hundreds of 7 inches, but you know, I think that's really where my turn went, because they're really, when I got into records, they were cheaper. Like they were just cheaper. Like in 2010, 2011, you could go to like a Hot Topic, which is mainly where I went, and I would raid their clearance sections. You'd get records for like $3, like really $3 or $4. You know, like just some were open, some weren't. Like they'd just be sitting back there in the bin, like, you know, and they'd be a few dollars. Like you go in there and you like drop $20, you get like 5 albums, and it's like, and a lot of them had, and the other thing is a lot of them had download codes. I would say 8 to 9 times out of 10 they had download codes. So it's not like you were just getting the record. Like it made no sense sometimes. Like you would go in and go, I could buy this on CD for $10, or I could go buy that record there that's on the clearance rack and it's $5 and I get a digital download. Like, and I get this record that like, you know, is a rare, like, because really that's a collectability. Like that's what I think got me into records, as well as a lot of other people too, is the collectability of them. Like that is something that's still to this day, like I don't really collect like I did, but you still get a kick out of like, here's this cool pressing and there's only 100 of them. Because like no matter what you're talking about, if you're a fan of a band, like just a merch item that's like that limited, including for like bigger bands, it's like, that's insane. You know, like there's certain bands who have records out there where it's like, and not the ones for like Record Store Day where it's like limited pressing of 8,000, like, oh, okay, like that's not as limited as I guess our definition of limited might be a little different, but you know, like not ones like that. Ones where it's like, these are like bands who like, you know, sell at arenas or something and they have like a pressing limited to like 250. Like things like that where you go like, that's insane. Like that's really collectible. And you get a cool piece of music, you know, you get something really fun to look at. But, you know, back then it really did. Like now you got that, but it was cheaper. It was a lot of times you'd go into like a Hot Topic, and Hot Topic really be I got to give credit where credit's due with them, you know, as fucking lame as Hot Topic might be, or maybe that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm the only one who thinks that. Maybe I'm pissing off all the goth teens right now listening to this on their iPhone speaker, like playing it on the iPhone speaker, hanging outside a Hot Topic. And my apologies if that is you. But like, I got to give them credit because there was such a long time where it's like, that's where you got like before Barnes and Noble and all that. But it's like the thing that I give them is they didn't have fucked up prices in the beginning. Eventually it got to that where the prices, they started price gouging as well. I don't think they ever got as bad as like some of the other brick and mortar stores, but like they got, you know, they started gouging their prices a little more later on. But like, you know, there's a time where you go in there and it's like, it's the only place you'd go get, you know, what other store is going to carry an Alkaline Trio, you know, LP, like things like that. And then they're like so cheap. So it's like, it just becomes, you know, such a no brainer. So, you know, the whole collectability and just the cheapness was what I got into. Like, I got to say, like, I don't think I ever would have gotten into record collecting as much as I did had I gotten into it in like 2015, 2016, like I just can't imagine spending some of that money on, and I'm not talking about like eBay ones, like just those where you go to a store and they want $40 for a fucking single LP, like nothing special about it, no cool like gatefold. There's not like, new liner notes, like this and that. And it's like, fuck that. Like $40, like another 20 or 30, you're in like box set territory. So, like I think that was a big turning point for me. That and funny enough, a big one, because you would think I would hit more, and actually I hit more record stores traveling. It's still something that, like, if I go to a city, like even more than bars, like, people go and like I'm someone who, and I love to travel, and something I do, and it's split. Sometimes it's really good, sometimes it bites you in the ass, but just being spontaneous, going to a city, I'm going to this city today. I don't have a lot of plans. I might write down 3 or 4 places, go like, okay, there's this vegan place I want to eat, there's this art museum that looks cool, and mainly record stores. Like, there's a couple good record stores. Like I might do some of that, but like that will sometimes be the extent of my research, sometimes less than that. But like just getting to a place and finding like a record store in a city you've never been is just so fun. Like I still love doing it. I did it last month when I went to Burlington. When I was in Vermont, I stopped in Burlington for the day. And my last stop, I talked about this on the last podcast. I cannot remember the name of it. It's like Pop Music Records or Popular Music Records or something like that in Burlington. It's like in a basement. The wall outside of it, I guess storefront, I don't know if you'd really call it that because it's going into a basement, but it's purple and it's really cool, but a nice little small place. And that was just kind of a spontaneous, like I was there and like kind of looking up stuff, and like, I just grabbed a few little things, like nothing big. Like I'm not like that anymore. Like there's a time when I'm in record stores, this is what I'm talking about, where I'm like, I don't really feel so bad selling my records off now, because I'm like, I'm not a flipper. Like I went in for years and spent like, I mean, a couple record stores, I definitely spent over $200. I don't know what my biggest record store purchase is, but I can tell you in one record store, it's at least $200. I would say in between 200 to 300. I don't think over 300. I think over 300 would be insane. I don't think I've ever hit that. Not yet. I ain't dead yet. There is time. There's time for me to do that. And, that's why you got to support this podcast, so I can go spend $400 at a record store. But in a day, I've spent $400 in a record store. One year on Warped Tour 2013, and I blame Hawthorne Heights for this. Actually, now that I say this, I 100% blame the band Hawthorne Heights, because those guys are playing Warped Tour. They're good dudes. They collect vinyl. They were collecting vinyl back then, just like me. And it was rags. I remember I went and looked for a few things. Like Matt, their bass player, turned me on to Lemuria, because he like hit me up. He's like, look for this on Record Store Day for me. And they collected records back then too. And they're like, yo, like you can leave your shit at our merch table. So, if you've been to Warped Tour, it's not really the place you buy records. Like it's not the place you buy collectible things. T-shirts, sure. I can throw T-shirts in a backpack. Same with CDs and stickers and shit like that. But like vinyl is not your friend at Warped Tour. And I have a couple jackets on my records that will definitely prove that have had to endure rainstorms and pits and fucking mud and just hot days and getting just jerked around in my backpack. And so those dudes let me put my shit there. And I went to 3 Warped Tours that year, but the worst was at Buffalo. It was the first one. And they're like, yeah, you can leave your vinyl here. So I'm walking around like, there was probably a break where like there were no bands that I wanted to see on. So I go walking through the merch and I just go fucking buck wild. I mean, I probably spent $200 on records at Warped Tour 2013, just at the Buffalo stop. And I don't think I went as nuts at the other two, but I'm sure I still dropped another $100 at least collectively at the other two on records. But that was dangerous. I blame them for that, because I couldn't have fit them. Like the amount of records that I bought wouldn't have fit in my backpack. I would have broke my back walking around with the amount of records that I purchased that year. But they were nice enough to let me do that, and great dudes who understand that. Like you can't be. And then they're like ooh and odd at some of it too. They appreciated it, which was nice. But it's funny. I think Buffalo is probably my biggest, because of like Warped Tour and like Record Store Day and it just being the closest to me throughout my life. Probably the place I've dropped the most money. Probably, not even probably, I think it has to be. Because even Amoeba, which Amoeba in LA, I will tell you, in my top 3 favorite record stores. I mean, it's tied, like, if we're talking West Coast, it is. Specifically the LA store, which is now gone. RIP, another one, which is just sad. It relocated, but I mean, I'm excited whenever I get to LA again, whenever the hell that is. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm going to go see the new one, but it's like, that was such an iconic location. You know, it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's still rad. Like, I'm happy that it's not gone for good, but it is a bummer. It had nothing to do with them. I think it's basically fucking gentrification. I think, like a high rise is going there. Just really just bullshit. Like really just some really stupid stuff. So fuck those high rises, and I'm pretty sure that is what it is. It was something so stupid. Like they're gonna demolish it and put high rises. So fuck those people. I take back the thing I said about Hot Topic. Fuck whoever lives in the high rises where Amoeba once was. But even there, which kind of going back to why I blame Hawthorne Heights. Me traveling has become such a thing, like I was kind of talking about earlier, where you would, and I still hit a bunch of record stores, but I don't buy records. Like I don't buy vinyl like I once did because I just travel so much and I do so much sleeping in my car and car camping and stuff that it's like, dude, driving through the Southwest, like, I mean, I'm fucking baking in my car. Like, I'm sleeping in my car in Arizona and I'm baking. It is not good for the records. Like, you know, it definitely fucks with them. It will warp them. Because then you're also, you know, you're going 1 second, you're in a state where it's hot as hell. And then, you know, you're in another where certain times of the year you're getting snow. You know, it's not impossible to be in a state where it's 90 degrees and then in a state where it's like 60 or 70 with snow. So, you know, like with things like that, I'm just like, and I don't want them like moving around back. You know what I mean? It's like there's only so much you can do to protect vinyl if I'm basically inhabiting my car. Like if I'm living in my car like that on a trip, it's like they're going to get, you know, my foot's going to accidentally kick one when I wake up. Or I'm going to take a turn too hard and they're going to go flying or something. So it's like I try to stay away from them, which is probably why I don't spend as much as I once did at record stores. I wouldn't say that cassettes have taken over for it because that just sounds fucking dumb. And it is because cassettes, I do collect cassettes, but here's my thing for them. My budget is about $8. If you're asking more than $8 for that cassette, I ain't buying it. I was tempted once in Portland. I can't remember where I was, but it was I don't even remember the band now. It was a punk band from the 80s, and it was like an original pressing of like one of their big album on cassette. And I cannot remember off the top of my head who the hell it was, but it was like $15. And they almost tempted me. And even then I'm like, I'm not paying $15 for this. Like I'm not doing that, you know. Like, it's crazy to me, the new, I guess I'm going off on a tangent. Not really, because we're talking about record stores. So, like, this is the shit you find in record stores. But, like, bands who put new ones out, like, I get a kick out of that. But it's like the gimmick is worth, once again, about $8. Like, if there's a download code in there, I might pay $10 because it's like, all right, if I was going to download this anyways, probably cost me $10. So now I get the cassette, you know, you get the collectability of it. But yeah, most of the time it's not. I know there's a few like the Moms. They're last doing Asbestos We Can, a great band who I play on the radio show who never got enough credit and broken up for a few years now, but put out a couple really good releases you should go check out. The Moms. I know they're going to be hard. It's one of those like ungoogable names, like including for a band like that size, because, you know, they just weren't super big. It's like Dads too, you know, like another good band who it's just like, how the fuck do you find them, you know? But you should go check out the Moms. But I do remember they put their last album out on cassette, and it was like $6 with a download code. It's like it was cheaper than literally just getting a digital download. So I'm like, well, fuck yeah, I'm gonna get that. Like that's when I like it. It's like, okay, I get this cool little thing with it, and I actually get the album because it's like that is my gripe about records where they're normally good with download codes, but it's like the ones who don't put them in, I get so pissed. Including when you spend like $20 for a record, I'm like, I just dropped $20. Like you, in an age where there's streaming and there's digital and there's like all these other things, it's like you need to have a digital download in there. Like that's bullshit. At that point, you know, if you're charging me like $9.99 or something, like okay, something like cheap. $9.99 is very specific. That sounded. I don't know why I'd pick $9.99 and not $10. I guess because that's what you see in stores. I guess that's just what you're used to seeing. That's what I'm going to go with. But yeah, and I mean, I get it because there are some that like get repressed where like it's like a legality thing. where it's like, oh, we're repressing, like this Blink-182 album, like say Shop Radiocast, another one who back when I was really collecting did put out some really nice ones where it's like you'd pay a little more for their records, but they ended up being pretty nice. I think people have had issues with them though. Like I never really had an issue with them. I can't think of a time I did, but I also was doing, it's been years since I ordered anything from them. We're like the last time I think I ever ordered anything was probably like 2014. Probably whenever that Take Off Your Pants and Jacket that they did, which Mightier Than Sword was supposed to do, which fuck that guy. That's I'm pretty sure I've bitched about that on here before. I 100% have went on a tangent on it, but fuck RJ, whatever his name is, who did that, because I gave that dude like almost $200 of my graduation money from high school, and I never got it back. Like a lot of people did, and I disputed it with PayPal, but they never did anything. And I did it where like you just went through like email. I probably should have escalated and like called them and like really just like, I think I had to try a lot harder. Not that I didn't try, but I think I really had to like push them more. But like that motherfucker, to this day, he put that out. I graduated in 2011. So he put it out. I'm like, I got this graduation money. I'm gonna buy me Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Bought all the colors and everything. I was so stoked. Mark Hoppus did the liner notes and like wrote a little thing and stuff. And I'm like, it looks so cool. And the motherfucker did that. But Shop Radiocast did come in, and like for whatever people's problems are with them, I've seen different things. They're not mine personally, so I'm not talking any shit on them. But, they stepped in, put out the best. I have a few pressings of Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. Like that's how that was the thing. I used to really be a collector of that, where it's like I had records. Like now I'll buy records if I really like them, but I can't remember last time I had to get every single variant, like I used to be more like that, where I'm now like, I'm just going to get it to listen to it. Like I'm not so much of like I have to have the blue because it's pressed, only 100. I'm not really like that. I rather it sound good. I have a few records where I'm like, I've had doubles where it's like when I sell, if I've sold like a double, it's not, I don't go with I'll sell the one that's more rare because I rather have the one that sounds better. Like I don't care that, this one has more of these are pressed. If it sounds better, I rather that 100%, And Shop Radiocast ended up doing a really good job with them. And also they did like 10% off. Like if you showed them like the proof that you got fucked over basically by Mightier Than Sword, they took like 10% off of it. And it was a really good one. Like, cause I've sold off some of my Blink-182 records, some of the more rare ones that are worth more. And I've definitely held off on that. That's one I will not get rid of. That is not that's not a pressing of it I want to get. Plus, you have the bonus songs in there, which is really cool. How they house. Go look at it online if you're a fan. Obviously don't if you fucking hate Blink-182, but if you're a fan like myself and you've never seen it, go look up the Shop Radiocast pressing. At least the original. I don't know. They might have repressed it. I don't know if they all look like that. But really cool. Have 3 7 inches on the inside with all the bonus tracks, and they're housed inside the big old fold-out gatefold, and just really cool. I think one of the cooler ones in my collection. That one is up there. I think is one of the nicest ones. And I do like I've talked about them a bunch lately with the replacements, but those Rhino Records box sets that they do, like the replacements ones, the Ramones, Lou Reed, and a bunch of other ones too. Like they do them now where like there's like 3 CDs and like 1 LP, and then like a huge like booklet of liner notes and stuff. But they have it's like a little bigger. It is wider and a little longer than like your average like vinyl jacket. But like I like them. Like they fit in there well, and like they're pretty durable, and like I don't know, I like them. They fit in there. Like even though there's like 3, there's more than just a vinyl in there. There's more CDs than there are vinyl most of the time. But I really like the setup on those. I think they do a really good job on those. And those are like another really well packaged ones. Though that's the thing that still gets me with vinyl, that a lot of times they'll get me with, where I'll still buy it, is if there's a really cool packaging with it, because they'll still do a lot more with that, that you won't see so much with the CD or the digital, where like they'll put more time into those liner notes or like adding different things. Like it's definitely more of a selling point for me now, I think, these days, to grab that stuff. But another one, like I said, it's like I think price is one too, where it's just like, I'm not paying that like I once was, because I don't listen to them enough either. Like I think I think one day I've always said this, like I have very middle of the road equipment, and I always have. Like I've never had like great equipment, but I have like an okay pair of like Pioneer speakers, not vintage. Like the vintage shit's the best. Like, and that's probably one day I would buy like a bunch of like the vintage old like Pioneer stuff, and like some like really nice turntable and receiver and stuff. But like I have like middle of the road stuff, which isn't bad. But I will say, like, I've heard stuff, like I've heard my record collection on like nicer, on other people's like record players and stuff. And like you can really hear where it's like, oh yeah, like you can hear a difference. It's like a whole different experience. And I do think that one day when I'm older, I think if I like, my whole thing has been, because I like to move around and do shit. I like to travel. I like to not stay in one place. So like my whole thing is I don't want to sink thousands of dollars into a really nice sound system and have to lug it places. You know what I mean? And then also like have to take the risk of fucking them up every time you transport them and like all that stuff. So it's just because records themselves are not fun to really move. Like when I moved to Minneapolis, I hardly brought most of my collection, and I thought I was gonna. And then I ran out of room, and I'm like, there's no way to really safely take most of these. Like by the time I was ready to go, none of it made sense. Like it would have been a gamble. They could have gotten fucked up and destroyed, and I didn't want that. And it's just like, that stuff's already a pain in the ass to move. So until I know that I'm somewhere for a good while, like I don't want to invest in a nice sound system. But I think one day when I do, definitely a plan sometime, I could see myself like falling way back into records again. Like I did, where like really like I want every release on vinyl. And, because I used to be that way too, where it's like if there was a band, like not even the album per se, but it's like if I liked the band and they had a record out, I'd be like, oh, I want the vinyl. Now it's like, you realize that after a while that it's like, well, with vinyl, you can't skip a song. So it's like, yeah, like I like this band, but maybe this album has like 6 good songs and then like 8 terrible ones. It's like, well, what am I going to do? Like go move the needle every time, like try to guess what groove I got to put it in now to like skip it, like it's just like, no, that's okay. So, I mean, I definitely now it's like, I got to really like an album. One of the only, I would say the only band, or like band and around the universe, because when any of the dudes put something out, I also got to go grab that. But the Replacements are like the one where it's like I'll go, which I mean I've heard the songs. It's not so much that, but like even if it's live, it's like you could just sell me on vinyl like one of their terrible nights, like where it's just all they do is play covers and like lounge versions of their songs, and it's like I'd buy the shit out of that. Like I'm still just gonna buy it blindly. But nowadays I'm more like, besides if you're not the Replacements, I gotta really like the album to dish out extra money for the vinyl. That's just kind of where I am with that. But I'm also like, and I think a lot of other people are kind of like this. Like I'm just a fan of music too. So like, I mean, I like just different formats, but I'm not someone who like, and I never was. Even at my peak vinyl, it's like I would still buy CDs and I would still get, I would still do the digital route, like including now, like, doing the podcast and radio show. A lot of times, people send you stuff digitally. So it's like, I don't care. Like I listen to music digitally a lot, I mean, it'd be insane not to basically in 2020. But yeah, like I'm not someone who's like a purist who's like I have to have it on vinyl. I'm just like whatever one's cool. And really, if you haven't been able to figure this out from this episode, I'm also just a cheap ass. So a lot of times my purchase comes out of, well, what one is the cheapest? Like, and that was the thing is like we've kind of lost it in that way, where there was a time where like the LP was cheaper than the CD. And then the LP was like $5 more than the CD, which I'm cool with. Like I'll pay like $5 more. And now it's like they basically have to give the CD away and the record is $30. And I'm like, that's just, that's where they've lost me. That's really where they've lost me. But it is something, live music is like probably the biggest thing that I miss during the whole pandemic. But record stores are a big one. And I've been in like, I think 3 this year, 3 or 4 altogether, and maybe more pre-pandemic. No, actually, I don't think that's true. I don't think I hit any record stores really prior to that, but I've probably hit 4 or 5 altogether this year. And, every time it's like and I've not left empty-handed. I mean, really, like there is, I think from not being able to go as much as you once did, it does make you start looking more, and I'm not out so much. So, my kind of want list does kind of build up. And, I miss going out there and really hitting them. 'Cause that's still, like I was saying earlier about traveling, like still one of my favorite things to do in cities is go find the best record stores. It's like, and hit up people. It's like, what record stores do I go to here? Like I remember Shake It Records in Cincinnati. That's a really good one if you're in the area. And that's the other thing with this, man. Like, go out and support these record stores. Like the one, like any that I mention on here, and go support them. They're probably not doing amazing right now. And it's like, if you're in these areas, you're passing through, whether it's now, whether it's later, whenever, like go support them or go buy their shit online. Like if they got an online store, go support them, make sure they're still there for when everything's over. But, Shake It Records, like that's one where it's like, and I get excited because like 3 or 4 people told me, I'm going to Cincinnati. And I asked like 4 people from Cincinnati, what record stores do I go to? All of them said Shake It Records, like all of them. So it's like already like I get this anticipation. I'm giddy. It's like if 4 people tell you that, like, all right, it's probably pretty good. And then I got there and it was great. I that was one where I think I dropped like $80 and bought some cool shit. I actually remember buying some that's where I bought the replacement Stink actually for the first time. Bought that on CD, that 2008 remaster. And also got some like cool bootleg vinyl, Matt's bootleg vinyl, and some other stuff. And ended up being a really great place. But like I love that. Like it's like that's what I look forward to. Like I'm going into a city and it's like, what record store? Like what? Like fuck the landmarks. Like I don't really like I've been to Chicago and I've still never seen that dumbass Bean that everyone tells me to go see. The only time I've ever seen it was using the bathroom at an Office Max. They had it plastered on the wall back there. So I did see the Bean inside of an Office Max in Chicago. And I feel like that's close enough. But I've never seen that, but I've probably been to 4 or 5 different record stores there, So like that's just me. It's like that's my interest, like a lot of landmarks and stuff that I maybe don't care that much to see. But I gotta go find your best, your record store, the best cassette collection, and things like that. But Shake It Records, that was a really good one. And Ohio's good with that. Like Cleveland's another one. They got a bunch. The Record Den sticks out in my mind, though. Probably like my favorite in Cleveland would be the Record Den. And that is actually one I have been to this year. One day going through Cleveland, I had to stop. And just a great, it's funny, good sticker collection. I remember one time spending a lot of money on stickers there. Very good sticker collection. And really good. They're like CDs are really cheap. And really I've been going there for years, and it was only this last time I realized they had a good cassette collection. Like just a bunch of the best. Like they're one of those places where I always feel like the jackpot for like good cassettes are not a place that's like stocking new ones, because if they are, they're going to charge you more because they're like, okay, they're in the business to sell these. Whereas like the Record Den has a bunch left over, it seems like, from back in the day of selling, cassettes. So you have to go through and rummage through. Now there's, 9 times out of 10, it's like a Christmas cassette or something you don't want. Like it's nothing, but you keep searching and all of a sudden you find a cassette that you really, really love, from a band you really love, like an album you really love, and it's still sealed and it's like $2, sometimes less, like those to me have been my best luck for finding good cassettes, because they're not, once again, like if they're selling new ones, they might be one of those places like, we want $15 for this new album sealed on cassette, and it's like, well, fuck you. Now you go to ones like that and it's like, we don't want these fucking things. I've been House of Guitars. Now I was talking earlier, Amoeba is my favorite record store on the West Coast and one of my all-time favorite record stores. My other one of my all-time favorites, in my top 3, and my favorite on the East Coast has to be House of Guitars in Rochester, which is a beautiful place that I have not been to in like 2 years, not since I've been back here in New York. And kind of because the pandemic happened. But one of the last places I hit before I moved in 2018, but have not been back since then. But last time I was there, and I was about to talk about how good their cassette collection is, and now you really know, because I got a sealed copy of Jawbreaker's Dear You for like $6, which is honestly probably worth, if I put that on eBay, which I would not, but probably is actually worth a little money. Dear You on cassette, unopened, even has the little hype sticker on it, and also the Posies Dear 23. They had that sealed on cassette for like $4. Like that is another one, because House of Guitars doesn't really stock new cassettes. But and listen, if you've never been there, it's a magical fucking place. And like when I say cluttered, this place, like there's not a lot of rhyme or reason to things. You will find like it goes back to the record den, like having to just go through all those cassettes, and to really find a gem, you have to just go through all that shit. Same with House of Guitars. I've spent hours going through boxes of cassettes. Like, not on display, just there. You'll be walking and, oh, is that a random box of cassettes sitting on top of those CDs? Why, yes, it is. And you like start going through. There's like Glassjaw. I remember finding a bunch of promotional cassettes, like singles for their first record before it was out. There's like 2 or 3 songs off of it. They're like 99 cents. Like just, and then you get up to the register and like you want like, I forget what one I bought, but there was an album that was like $8 and had a little crack in it, but it was sealed. I think it was the Mark Tom and Travis show, Blink-182, and it's sealed. And like, I love that album. That is one where it's like, all right, I'll pay $8 for this. There was like a little crack, but the guy at the thing like asked me, I'm not even bullshitting. This dude asked me 2 or 3 times, like, you sure you want, like, it's $8 and there's a crack in it and it's a 20-year-old cassette. Like, he's basically like, are you sure, dude? Like, are you, like, really? Like, I just want to double check before I take your money. Like really? But, you know, like, that's another one. That's the best cassette collection I've ever found, House of Guitars. The best one. But they have, like, the best selection of everything. You just have to go there. But that's the charm of it is, and if you're a musician, too, because the upstairs, I mean, there's more rhyme and reason with that. I mean, everything's a little more organized. But, like, it is a mecca for guitar. You know, if you're a musician, I mean, amps, guitars, basses, vintage gear, like old effects, like new shit, like just everything you can think of, you can find at House of Guitars. I mean, it is a house just full of guitars and records and everything. And yeah, downstairs, I mean, the record store though, just, I mean, and just like iconic, like people, like everyone who plays Rochester does a meet and greet there. I went to go see Green Day in 2013 in Rochester, and I stopped at House of Guitars beforehand. I had no clue Mike Dirnt was doing a signing there, and I kicked myself. It was like I literally missed them by 20 minutes. Like everyone, like I'm walking through and everyone's telling me like, "Oh, did you see that guy from Green Day was here?" And I'm like, "No, like." That would have been kind of cool. Like, I'm about to go see him in like 3 hours. Like, I didn't know he's like, everyone just does that. Like there's some great, you know, going back to the Replacements and my favorite goddamn band. Like they, there's pictures of them signing shit from like Don't Tell a Soul era, because Slim's in there, on the wall there. Like just the most, even like cool shit that's not for sale, just old promo stuff that you will never see anywhere else that they just have all around there. Like just vintage shirts that are probably worth literally like just their ceiling. Like honestly, like I've thought about this before, and they're like the vintage clothing market and all that on eBay and posters and stuff, like just their ceiling, not gold records, not like their inventory, but just the posters and shirts they have like tacked on their ceiling from like that have been up there for like longer than I've been alive. That shit is probably worth thousands of dollars up there, you know, just sitting up there. It's just, I love it. Like it shows all the different eras. Like that record store probably looks the same as it did in 1993, as it did in 2013, as it will in 2030. You know, like it's just one of those places, and that's the charm of it is, you know, that it is that you do find the best shit by just randomly walking through. Like you won't find that rare promo sampler from that band under their name like in CDs. You'll find it like in the stickers or something, like while you're just looking through. Like, you know, I don't know, like hopefully this makes sense. If you're there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't been there, go look up pictures and go there the next time you're in Rochester. Like top 3 record stores in the entire world, best record store on the East Coast, 100%. You know, one that I dearly miss and will definitely get back to whenever I am in Rochester next, you know, whenever that may be. But yeah, I mean, one of the best things, like going around and like you start looking forward to it. You're like, I'm in this part of the country, so I got to go, you know, I got to hit this record store, this one. And we are lucky in like I mean, like this area, you know, and kind of specifically where I am, where like I'm in the western region of New York, where literally I can be in Pennsylvania in 15 minutes. If I got in my car right now and drove, I'd be in PA. And and we're but not like the New Jersey, New York, PA, like tri-state area, down once again in the western part. But like Ohio is also like, I can be in Ohio in like an hour. Like it would take me about an hour to get there. And like I am kind of lucky where I'm at, where like we don't really have record stores here. Sadly, we've had a couple throughout the years, but they've all been just went under. Like just there just wasn't money to be made in this area for records, which is too bad. I think the people. It was cool though, because the people who did shop at them, I think really cared, me being one of them. But Good City Records, like the best one, shout out to them. But they just kind of did it for fun, They did it, and we're only open like weekends. Was in literally like an old living room in a building. It was really cool place. But just did it for the love of it, and like I think it started probably costing. I don't know this for sure, but I think it probably started costing them money to do. And it's like when it starts costing you money to run a record store, probably got to hang it up. And the people, they had amazing selection. They had very, very good, very curated. You could tell they gave a shit and really thought about like what to stock and stuff. They weren't just throwing random shit in there. They actually cared about what was going on in there, and you could find some really good stuff. One of my best hauls actually for Record Store Day, of all the places I've been for Record Store Day, was probably at that one. I went in this little room with everyone and ended up scoring probably like 3 or 4 records that I really, really wanted like right away. But, but like what I'm saying is, record stores may not last where specifically where I'm at, but I'm at least in this place where like Rochester's 90 minutes or maybe like two hours. Buffalo's about 90 minutes. And that's another one, Record Theater, rest in peace. The two of those specifically, they're both on Main Street, but that one at, I think it's 1800 Main Street, the bigger one. If you know what I'm talking about, if you're from Buffalo, the bigger one, which I went to the one close to the college for years and I loved it, but I never knew. Like I knew there was that other one. I didn't know it was another Record Theater. And it just, like, I don't know why. It never looked like anything from the outside. And it's a big building, but really, like, it is kind of, like, now it's gone. But, like, I don't know if other people felt this way. But you just drive by it for years, and it just never looked like it looked big, but I'm like, I don't know. It kind of looked run down or whatever. And then I went in, I'm like, this is the greatest fucking, like, this is the best record store in Buffalo. And another one, just one of the best record stores. Like, talk about selection. Like, I mean, you could find anything in there. They had great selection of vinyl. They had great selection of used CDs and stuff. Like, things I couldn't find anywhere else I could find there. And just random shit too, like pins and stickers and like those other things you'll find at a good record store. Like, good selection. Like, and they were another one who knew what they were doing. Like, they stocked a lot of things where it's like, we stock this because we know you can't find it anywhere else. And we know you want, that there's people who are looking for this, I would say smart business people. But I will give a shout out because once again, a big thing right now is supporting these stores. But Hi-Fi Hits in Buffalo, which is another one that I have been to this year. I did get to check that out. But I don't know the dude. I mean, I don't know him or anything, but I guess is a former manager from a Record Theater, runs that and does a really good job. When I went in there, just kind of, I mean, it's a lot smaller, but he's like, it's a condensed version of that and still has that spirit, like great selection, like knows their clientele, killer cassette collection, even better than Record Theaters. Cause at least when I went to Record Theater was around for a very long time. There probably was a time where their cassette game was good, but, by the time I was there, no one was buying them, so they didn't keep them in stock. They weren't taking them in. And then eventually they would just get new ones. And that's where, like, you'd go in and they want, like, fucking $20 for a tape. And I'm like, I ain't paying that. But Hi-Fi Hits, great selection of cassettes. I think I ended up buying more cassettes than anything else. I got, like, 1 or 2 CDs and bought, like, six tapes while I was there. Sparkle and Fade being one of the best ones. And Minor Threat. Minor Threat and Everclear's Sparkle and Fade, probably the 2 best ones I got there. But very cool, good prices and everything, and just very rad. Like, anytime I'm in Buffalo, not just next time, anytime I'm there, it is now, I think it will now take place, because it was fairly recent. I don't think I've even been back to Buffalo since I went there. But, the old ritual was definitely Record Theater. Record Theater was one of the first stops. If I'm really feeling like throwing money away, it would be hitting both Record Theaters, because they're on the same street. Like, Main Street's very long. It's probably still like a 10-minute drive, but they're like 10 minutes apart from each other. So, like, sometimes you go a little buck wild. You go drop 100 at one of them, then you run down the street and you go drop 100 at the other, But thankfully for me, they at least had a punch card. So every now and then you got, I think, like $10 off maybe. You did have to spend like $100 or so, maybe a little more than 100, but I think it was like around there. And you get like $10 off, which is rad. And, so that was always nice. That's a little sigh of relief. But yeah, I mean, RIP Record Theater, one of the best up there. They used to be a ritual to go there, but Hi-Fi Hits will definitely be one I continue to go to. So I mean, if you're ever in that area, go hit that up. We do have good record stores in this area, like I was saying. Same with Ohio, not so close, not as close as Cleveland, but one you would not think about. Like, not this record store, but just not an area you would think about. But Culture Clash Records in Toledo, Ohio. I've only been once. And this is once again, I hate to bring them up again, but Hawthorne Heights, my dude JT, their singer, I went and saw him and Mark Rose from Spitalfield. They played a really rad basement show in Toledo that I went up one time to go see. And he's from Ohio, JT. So I'm like, dude, like, where are the record stores here? Or are there any too? Because it's like, Toledo, I mean, is probably bigger than where I live, but it's not a huge city. It is a city, but it's not a huge city. So I'm like, do they have anywhere? And he's like, Culture Clash Records, you got to go there. And like, my God, like it, and CDs there. It wasn't even vinyl in particular. It was CDs. I remember, the real gem there, I remember being an advanced copy of Thursday's Full Collapse with like this alternative artwork on it. I remember tweeting a picture to Jeff Rickley, and I'm like, is this rare? And he's like, I've only ever seen one, so I'm going to go with yeah. And I've never seen another one since. Probably on Discogs. I maybe I haven't looked on there because Discogs has like everything. Like they even have like test press info and like, promo copies and all that stuff. So I got to look on there, but I've never seen another for sale, never seen it anywhere else. And that was definitely the gem. It was like $5, but a bunch of cool old rad like Doghouse Records comps I got and a bunch of other stuff. And they had really good stereo equipment. Going back to that, I remember them having a lot of really good analog, like old ass stereo equipment, which is the best stuff from like the 70s and 80s. That's the stuff you want. Like that's if I was putting the money in, it's like I begin vintage shit, baby, that all the way. But that is another one where Toledo, Ohio, probably not the first place you think of. That's one of the best record stores I've ever been to in Ohio. Like, and I've only been there once. I just don't get to Toledo very much. I'm sad actually. Every time I've passed by Toledo since then has been at night, so they're always closed. They're not open at 10 o'clock at night. So I've really only been lucky enough to go once, but it is definitely a place that I want to go back to and can't stress enough. Go check it out if you're ever in that area. And I was lucky living in Minneapolis for a year. I mean, the Twin Cities. I've talked about it around here before, but I mean, some of the best record stores you will ever find. Like 100%, just like you go around, like there's really not, I can't think of like, I mean, I'm not here to talk shit anyway, but so because as I'm saying, I can't even think of one to talk shit on. I don't know that I really sit here and talk too much shit on them. I will talk shit on a record store in Santa Barbara. It's probably the only one there. Like it has to be the only one. Fuck them. They sell bootleg. It's on like the Strip. There's a name for it, but like the big shopping place. It's like 2 miles of shopping, like the Rodeo Drive of Santa Barbara, like that. But I went there once. Went to the only record store I could really find there, and they were selling like bootleg DVDs and CDs, which I'm fine with those. But they were selling their own that they got off, obviously, like YouTube. Like these motherfuckers were like burning. It wasn't their own footage. Like it's not like, hey, we recorded this last time this band was here. This was just shit you could find on YouTube that they burnt to a disc. And then, in true Santa Barbara fashion, at least from what I could tell from the day I was there, gouged the fucking prices and wanted like $20 for a YouTube video that they didn't own on DVD. I wanted to smash them. I just wanted to go around and fucking smash them. And everything in there was overpriced. Not just that, but like just here's a used CD for like $14. Like get the fuck out of here. Like for no reason. We're not talking rare shit. We're talking about like just price gouging. Like we're in Santa Barbara, fuck you. And like punk stuff too. Like the kind of stuff where like I did kind of laugh, but it's like it was the kind of place you went in and paid $30 for a Minor Threat t-shirt. Like that kind of thing where it's like Oh, like what's punker than that? Paying $30 for a fucking like a pre-faded looking, like not an old one, but like a new shirt on a Gildan shirt that looks pre-faded and is $30. And it's just like, fuck you and fuck that place. If I knew the name of it, I guess I would. I am contradicting myself. I guess I am talking shit. I don't know what it's called. You can probably look it up because there has to be like only one record store there. But yeah, like fuck them for doing that. And I think I remember seeing reviews too. I think people have left bad reviews there. Like come on, like don't be doing that with the bootleg shit. And I'm fine. Like I've bought tons of replacements, bootlegs throughout the years at record stores. Tom Waits is another one. Like some of Tom Waits, I search out for bootlegs when I'm at a record store because some of his best shit is like bootlegs of his old like lives. Like my favorite era of him is like that late 70s era. So like my favorite release of his is a bootleg is Romeo is Bleeding live in Austin, Texas. And it's my favorite version of Burma Shave on there. There's a bunch of other great ones, and it's like one of his best performances in my opinion. And it's funny, I don't have a download of it. I only have it on vinyl, and I've not been able to even find a digital download of it. And I've been trying hard. If you were listening to this and you have the MP3 files, that send them to powerchordhour@gmail.com. I'll send you a shirt, pics, t-shirt. I'll send you a bunch of good shit. I just want the MP3s. I'm too lazy. There are like on YouTube, like I could probably go rip them, but there's a lot of songs. I don't have to rip all of them. Like if you got that, let me know if you got that bootleg. That one actually legit, like the bootleg sounds good anyways, but I mean if he was gonna, if they're gonna like put out like some live Tom Waits records, that is one they should re-release. Like, that's something that like should get a proper release. It's the best live show I think I've ever heard him do. In my opinion, it's like, it's just the best, and I love Tom Waits. But yeah, so like I'm not anti bootleg in that sense, like including like the old ones and stuff. But yeah, like when you're doing that, you're just ripping fucking videos offline and then like putting it like not even well done either, like really shitty printer paper and shitty printer ink and stuff, like just no effort into it, But yeah, fuck that store. We're talking about good stores. But yeah, Minneapolis and St. Paul, getting back to that, like I can't even think of a bad record store. I really can't. Like there's not one that I would even direct you not to go to. There's just not. Electric Fetus, probably the best. I'm not just saying that because I lived like 5 minutes from there. Let me tell you, that was the raddest thing too. Like when I got my apartment, when I went to go look for apartments there, and I fucking, signed the lease or whatever, I had no clue I lived down the block from Electric Fetus, all because I went a different route. And until I moved there, like I signed the lease and shit and then moved back like a month, like I went back, got all my stuff, moved up to Minneapolis. And it was like, I think maybe a week of living there that I realized I was passing Electric Fetus and I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, Electric Fetus. And then I realized I'm 2 blocks from my house. And then I'm like, oh my God, like this rules. And, it was very cool too, because that is actually not only the first record store I ever went to in Minneapolis, but the first place I ever stopped at, like period. Back in 2016, I went there on spring break, and one of my first vegan food and record stores, which both are very, very good in the Twin Cities. Shout out to Hard Times Cafe, best vegetarian vegan food in the world. I will say that 100%. I've never had better fucking vegan food anywhere, and it's actually cheap. It is not like, this is the other thing that I celebrate about them is like they still have that old school vibe that they've always had. They didn't gouge prices because plant-based shit is cool now or whatever. Like there's some places, even though some of them are delicious, that and not just Twin Cities, just you go to a city now and it's like you go get vegan food some of these places, like even like a veggie burger, like a nice veggie burger that has like, I don't know, like it's their version of like a veggie Big Mac or something like that. And it's like, they want like $20 fucking, like no drinks, no sides. Like we want $20 for a veggie burger. And that's not what Hard Times is. Like, you go in there and get the greatest vegan biscuits and gravy you've ever had. And it's like $7 and it's like 3 meals. Oh my God. Some of the best hummus too. I'm missing that shit right now talking about it. I go for some Hard Times and, and then swing it on over to Electric Fetus. But yeah, Fetus was the first place I ever stopped when I went there. I was just looking up good places to go see, replacements, landmarks, and all that good stuff. Obviously, I had to go find record stores. And I got up there. It was because it was the first one that was open. They opened the earliest, like 9 o'clock or something, maybe 8 o'clock. So I left my hotel, got there the night before, and my very first stop ever in the Twin Cities was there. And then that was 2016. That was March of 2016. And then in November of 2018, I ended up living 2 blocks away. Like I ended up walking there to see Bob Mould play a show and sign my record, like things like that, you know? So I definitely, but like that's the thing though. Like I'm not just saying it because I lived there. It was one of my favorite record stores in the city before I even moved there. Like before I even knew, because that was also my stop when I was looking to move there. Yeah, I gotta go find an apartment, but I also gotta go back to Electric Fetus. So yeah, you know, great selection. I'd say probably the best one there. You know, tons of other good ones though. St. Paul, I'm trying to think the name of it. It's where like all the dudes in Husker Du worked back in the day, and it's like on a corner. Very, very cool old place. Has a very interesting name. Just like Electric Fetus is pretty, you know, after a while, like you get so used to it that you don't think about it anymore, but it's like the first time you hear the name of that, like you're kind of taken by it. Like that was the other reason like I had to go there. Like I was looking up record stores, like they're like Electric Fetus, like you got to go there. Like I'd be a fucking idiot not to, you know. I never did get to go to the one in Duluth. I think the one in Minneapolis is probably radder, but I know there's one in Duluth, which is pretty cool. Cheapo Records, another great one up there, not too far from my apartment either. I do remember, I think I only really did this one time because it was really goddamn cold. But I do remember walking from my apartment down to the CC Club, going down there, enjoying myself, and then walking back and stopping at Cheapo Records on the way home and just buying shit. That was fun. It makes me sad that Treehouse Records was closed by then because I did get to do that a few times though before I moved there. Go hit up CC Club, go across the street to Treehouse Records, which is both of those things are replacements, landmarks, if you're wondering what those are. But sadly, Treehouse was gone by the time I moved there. But yeah, was so much fun. Great selection to go to after you've been at the CC Club for a while, and you walk up and buy some records on the way home. But Cheapo, another great one. But like really, like just. And a good cassette collection, actually. They have a solid cassette collection there if you're looking for cassettes. But yeah, you know, so that was just kind of it for this week. You know, I wanted to get on here, and you know, I miss live shows, but I also miss record stores. So why not get on here, bullshit about them, talk about what I love about them, and collecting records and cassettes and CDs and some of my favorite record stores in the country. I mean, there's tons more too, but you know, some of the ones that I just listed off there. Definitely go support. You know, if you're in the area, or even if you're not, I think almost all of them you can order shit online and get it shipped. You know, you got Christmas coming up, so go check out those places. Go support them. I want them to be there when when everything gets back. You know, I want to be able to go. Next time I'm in Minneapolis, I want to be able to go to Electric Fetus and Cheapo Records and Down in the Valley and all those good ones. And yeah, you know, so go check out, support all of them, and you know, whenever I don't know when the new Amoeba's opening. I don't know if it is during COVID, because before it was supposed to happen, like, I think around this time. But I think that was really before anyone really knew that we'd still be in lockdown. So, like, they may be postponing it. But once it's up, I would love to see the new one. One of the saddest ones. I mean, you know, like, I'm so happy like Treehouse Records and Record Theater. Like, there's definitely record stores that I got to go to before they closed. And I'm so thankful that I did. But Tower Records in LA would have been pretty fucking cool. That would have been neat. I got to go to the Virgin Mega store in Times Square, and also I think there is one in Toronto. Maybe I'm wrong. I remember going to one. HMV's actually pretty cool. I don't even know if they still have HMVs, but I haven't been to Toronto or Canada in a while. But HMVs are kind of cool. You know, I know they're just kind of like, you know, brick and mortar stores or whatever, but I always like those. But Sam the Record Man, that is another one. Shout out to them in Toronto. That is a quintessential, which is funny. Probably in other movies too, as we're closing up here. I can't remember what one it was, but I was watching, it was like a superhero movie once. It was years ago, and it was supposed to be set in New York City, and the motherfuckers are fighting in the streets like it's one of those, and there's Sam the Record Man, and it's like, I guess most people may not realize that, but it's like, I mean, then again, though, Toronto's pretty goddamn huge. So it's like, it's not like that's a franchise. Like, there's only one, and it has such a, like, iconic storefront that it's like, if you're trying to convince us that, like, this is going on in literally a different country than where you recorded, maybe don't have a fight, like, sequence in front of Sam the Record Man, and then maybe I'll believe that this is New York City. But I always think about that when I think of Sam the Record Man. It might have been the Hulk, actually. I want to say it was like the Hulk, like not, I don't know, not like the Avengers. It was this was like 10 plus years ago. So whatever Hulk came out in the late 2000s, I'm pretty sure it was that. But there's like, yeah, it's like, dude, this ain't New York City. That's fucking Toronto, dude. That's Sam the Record Man. But that is another classic one, another great one. But yeah, that is the episode here. Thank you very much for checking it out, talking record stores on this Power Chord Hour podcast. And yeah, thank you so much for checking it out. Follow us online. We're at Power Chord Hour on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're on Spotify. I put up new playlists every week from what I play on the radio show, and a Power Chord Hour or Power Chord Crash Course playlist. A bunch of other stuff over on our Spotify. You can also, shout out to you if you're listening to this on Spotify, but you can also listen to the podcast over there. And yeah, add the podcast everywhere. You know you're listening to this. You can find this everywhere. Rate and review us if you would on iTunes. Subscribe. And if you do rate and review us, send me a screenshot of that, and I'll send you a Power Chord Hour t-shirt absolutely free. We do have Power Chord Hour stickers. They just got in, so we have some new ones. If you did not get some from that first batch, hit me up, powerchordhour@gmail.com. I'll gladly send you some out absolutely free. And yeah, also hit me up there, powerchordhour@gmail.com. What are your favorite record stores? And I would love to hear from you too. Like if you're from these places, where I'm talking like Culture Clash Records or Electric Fetus, or, if you remember Record Theater, it's only really been closed a year or two. So I would say most people from Buffalo remember Record Theater. The one place might still even have the Record Theater sign on it. So probably, or actually it said like Music Plus or something on it. I don't even actually think it said Record Theater. Which is probably another reason why it took me so long to go there, because they didn't even say Record Theater on it. Like, I didn't even realize the connection at first. But yeah, like, hit me up. I'd love to talk record stores. What are your favorite ones? Not just the ones I mentioned on here, but what are your favorite record stores? Once all this shit's over, I love to travel. So, like, I want to go hit all the ones that I've never hit. They're always my go-to place when I go somewhere. If your city has good vegan food and a good record store, I love your city. Like, it doesn't take much to make me happy. Like, if I go in there and I find some good food and some good records, I'm a happy boy. And yeah, maybe a nice art museum. I like a good modern art museum too. But yeah, that's why I love the Twin Cities. They got all that. But yeah, so follow us at Power Chord Hour. Check out the radio show every Friday night, 10 Eastern to midnight on 107.9 WRFA right here in Jamestown, New York. I broadcast from the same studio that I'm podcasting. I broadcast and podcast in the same damn studio. But hear the radio show. You can also listen to it online, WRFALP.com. You can stream the station there and give us a listen, as well as all the other great shows. That is going to be it. I'll be back next week. We'll actually have a throwback podcast for you here later on Thursday. So check out for that. Tim Rogner of the band Alistair. I interviewed him last year while living in Minneapolis. Did that from my apartment, which I was talking about, walking down from the Electric Fetus. I interviewed him blocks away from the Fetus, and I'll play that on here. They were celebrating their 20th anniversary as a band, put out a greatest hits, and talked about the band's legacy and the new album, or then new album, and all that good stuff. Alistair is a favorite of mine, one of my favorite drive-through records bands, and it was a great time talking to him. Got to have him on again sometime. But yeah, so that throwback episode will be up here very soon. Probably one of the last ones for a while. So throwback episode-wise, not this podcast, just throwback episode. But yeah, so for the Power Chord Hour, I'm Anthony Merchant. Thanks for listening.